Okay, I'm a bit freaked out right now. I don't even dare pull off a side road to sit off the exit. I did, and then I got back on the freeway real quick because that guy back there is spiritually possessed with demonic evil coursing through his veins. He wanted to fight me and take the camera. I wish the camera wouldn't have stopped rolling. I ran out of film, memory space. But I recorded the first little while, and then I recorded the last 30 seconds while he's standing here in my truck saying, I'm gonna have you arrested tomorrow for trespassing. As you can see in the video that I took, that was plazmafire. This guy rolls up on his four-wheeler, tells me he started those fires and he burned the brush. And I told him, yeah, I ran into another guy, old man Thayne, I called him, on the Thayne family farm, who told me the same thing. And I explained to him that I know what I'm looking at here, and he got so hostile and aggressive. While he's sitting there, I got the camera rolling, but it's just below his head, and he says, is that your truck over there? I said, yeah. He says, you staying out of trouble? He's looking me dead in the eyes with these steely, beady, fucking evil eyes. When he says, is that your truck over there? Yeah. Staying out of trouble? Yeah. I could tell from that very moment, this motherfucker is bad news. That was before I even told him. That was before he heard me say, did you see how hostile and aggressive that guy got when I called him on his bullshit? He said, you want to see bullshit? Come on back over here. He was standing, he was on his four-wheeler. As I pulled away, he was riding alongside me outside the passenger window saying, loser, loser. He said it at least twice. He said, you think you're so big with that camera in that truck? Why don't you come out here? He said, I'm gonna have you arrested tomorrow for trespassing. While on the previous video, you can see him say, you stay on the other side of the fence. I said, okay, I'll stay on the other side of the fence. Clearly, I wasn't trespassing. But he said that shit right here in front of my truck. And if it weren't for the video, I guarantee he would lie. What got into that guy? That is proof. This is a spiritual warfare. And what got into that guy is a spirit. And he could see me, and I could see him. And he knows we ain't on the same team. That's why whatever got a hold of him suddenly said, sick him, attack. And he did. If he thought he could have gotten away with something, you don't know what he's capable of in that moment, because he's not thinking logically or rationally or how to get away with the crime or commit it and get rid of the evidence. He is reacting emotionally, spiritually. He is possessed. So I just wanted to record this testimonial immediately after it happened. That happened 5 minutes ago, maybe 10 minutes by now. The light is still dimming. We only have a half hour of light left. That's approximately what it was when I took the video. Old man Thayne did the same thing, and I explained to that old man that I ran into someone else that pretty much did the same thing, and that I think they were just trying to keep everyone calm. He said, oh no, a lot of sagebrush. And I told him I know what I'm looking at here, and as soon as he knew that I know what I'm looking at and I know you're lying, that's when he got fierce. That was before I even said, did you hear how aggressive he got when I called him on his bullshit? What? Bullshit? You want to come over here? I'll show you, blah, blah, blah. That is proof. We are in a spiritual warfare. This plazmafire is on the scrimmage line. Like I said, you sit on the sidelines and wait till the dust settles and say, oh, I was with you the whole time. We know who you are. He knew who I was, and I know who he was. And there was no question in my mind when he looked at me with those steely, beady eyes, started saying, is that your truck over there? Yeah. Keeping out of trouble? That's a veiled threat. You can hear it in the video. I have the camera just below his face to where all you can see is here down, but you can hear him say, is that your truck? Yeah. You keeping out of trouble? When he stares me straight in the eye with those steely, beady little fucking eyes, it's a threat. And I knew it immediately as soon as he said it. Before he even said that part, when he asked, is that you in that truck over there? I could see he was getting hostile and aggressive. Was it just because I caught him in a lie? no, there is something much deeper going on here. That touched something inside of him that he probably doesn't even know where it came from. He probably just came to his senses and said, why did I want to fucking kill that guy? This is spiritual warfare. That guy's proof that there's two sides on this war. And he and I are not on the same side. This spiritual warfare is going to get real. And I mean people are going to get fierce. Not even know what the fuck they're doing. You think that guy knew why he did what he did? I doubt it. I don't think he has any fucking clue why he just did what he did. Why did old man Thayne lie about it? I'll include the link in the description of both videos where I went to pick up some bales of hay from a farm, spotted a plasma-fired log, and as I'm filming it, the old man rolls up in a truck. I hit pause, I talk to him. The next thing you see is me jumping back in the truck saying, that old man said he did it. He said, oh yeah, I bring some logs, and that's the story I relayed to this guy right there. And when he could see that I was telling him, I've ran into you before, pal. You didn't fool me then, you're not fooling me now. He got fierce. We're talking, he would have lied to send me to jail for trespassing. He would have said I pulled a gun on him just to pull his out and shoot me. That's how fierce he got, that quick. And he don't even know where it came from. I do. And unless you've mastered that part of your inner being, I'm gonna make a deal with the bad wolf so the bad wolf don't bite no more. Unless you know that other second half of yourself that resides inside of you, you're cannon fodder for this spiritual warfare, and you will be used as cannon fodder. So get in touch with the good spirit and ask for guidance and protection, because you're gonna need it. I'm not relying on my own provisions. I have divine providence, and without it, I wouldn't be able to make it through what we're going through. Nor would I have been able to make it through the last couple of years of my life in the way that I have. That guy back there is living proof. This is spiritual warfare. Plasma fire is the scrimmage line. Otherwise, how can you explain that kind of behavior? You can't. Not within the bookends of psychology. And even if you can, it's much simpler and straightforward to explain it within the context of spirituality. Then it's real simple, straightforward stuff. You don't got to get into some deep, complicated explanations. Straight up, spiritual warfare. That guy, he's playing for the other team. No doubt. So, the camera stopped filming. Between the time I walked away and he said, you stay on that side of the fence, I said, okay, well, thanks for your contributions. And I walked away and said, you hear how defensive he got when I called him on his bullshit? Bullshit, you get back over here. You can hear him say that in the video. And then it stopped recording. I must have pushed a button because I'm pointing it at myself saying, look, he's back there. He's following me on his four-wheeler. You see how instantly hostile and aggressive he got? By the time I got up to the truck, I realized the camera's not even recording, so I hit record again, and I've only got about another 30 seconds worth of memory space. But it was long enough to see him in front of my truck and catch him on video saying, I'm gonna have you arrested tomorrow for trespassing. Don't you ever come back near my property. Don't you come back near my property. I repeated it 2 or 3 times. As he repeated it, I said, okay, I won't come back to your property. Don't you ever come near my property. Okay, I won't come back near your property. And I'm having you arrested tomorrow for trespassing. Okay. And then he sat on his wheeler outside my passenger window, and as I took off, he rolled forward screaming, loser! 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 You think you're so big in that truck with that camera, won't you step out here? If that's not spiritual possession, nothing is. What is his reason for becoming so aggressive, hostile? He doesn't have one. He cannot explain it logically or rationally or reasonably why he did what he did, because it wasn't logical, rational, or reasonable. It was emotional and it was spiritual. This is part of the reason I wanted to record it right after it happened. One of the things he started saying as I was walking back to my truck, said, go back to Oregon or wherever you're from. This is part that I was recording. Well, I thought it was recording and it wasn't. I said, you hear him? He just said, go back to Oregon or wherever you're from. Why does he think I'm from Oregon? We're in Utah. I'm on I-84. I had just crossed the line into Utah. Oregon, you have to go all the way through Idaho to hit Oregon. If I was in Idaho, maybe that would have made some sense. We were in Utah, about 15, 20 miles this side of the Idaho state line. Is that logical? Is that rational? Go back to Oregon or wherever you're from. He hasn't seen my plates on my truck. That's not logical. That's not rational. That is someone who is so emotionally charged, they can't control themselves. And I'm lucky to have gotten out of there without any further incident. I'll remember that from now on. That's twice. The first time, the old guy just tried to say, oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, I did that. And I tried to explain it away to myself as if he must just be trying to keep the family around the Thayne family farm calm and sedated. Don't want them freaking out. The other way I explained it is old man Thayne wants to go about living the rest of his life the same way he lived the first of his life, and not paying attention to this new and different stuff. He wants to stick with the tried and true life that he's lived. He's developed a great strategy for success and schemas within that paradigm, and he wants to live the rest of his life in that world. But in order to do that, he needs everyone around him to also continue living in that world, not paying attention to this new and different stuff that he can't explain. Or you could say he was just trying to keep the wife and the kids calm. This is kind of stuff that the women and children don't need to know about. Let's just keep it between us men, and I'll say that I burned that tree. How do you explain this guy? This guy does not fit that same profile of explanation of that behavior. He was not trying to protect the feelings of the wife and kids and just keep it on the down low. The kids think I'm in control of everything. I don't want to keep it that way. That guy was spiritually possessed. I was suddenly his mortal enemy. How can you explain such a high level of hostility and aggression unless it's spiritually based? Like, I am his mortal enemy on a spiritual level. Because otherwise, on a personal level, he doesn't know me, I don't know him. I'm filming something that's reasonable to film. And because he knows more than what he's saying, so much more that he's created a lie, the fact that he created that lie means he knows about the plazmafire to begin with. Otherwise, he wouldn't have that lie pre-packaged and ready to deliver. He knows about the plazmafire. He's developed that lie. I told him, I see through your lie. I know what I'm looking at here. And suddenly I'm his mortal enemy. There's no other explanation besides spiritual warfare going on. And it's not typical territorial, stay off my lawn, because he was very friendly when he first came up. And I first started asking about the fires, and he volunteered all the information. He didn't say, it's none of your business, get the fuck off my property, the way he did after I told him I know the truth. While he was still telling me the lie, he was very friendly and cordial and kind. Oh yeah, I just gathered some brush and sagebrush. You gotta be real careful this time of year. You don't want to be doing it this time of year like right now. Very cordial and kind and conversational. He wasn't immediately just get off my property territorial. So that doesn't explain it. He wasn't just the kind of guy that chases anyone off his property if they even get close. He was conversational, cordial, and friendly to begin with. It was once I told him I know the truth. That same truth that he had already premeditative put together a lie to conceal that truth and started feeding me that lie. And it was only once I told him I know the truth and I know what I'm looking at here that he suddenly, oh yeah? That's you over there in that truck? You staying out of trouble? And from there it only got hostiler and more aggressive. I don't want to keep repeating it over and over, but spiritual warfare. That's what that's an example of. Get ready, because there's a lot more like him than there are of us. And they will be weaponized and deployed. And I said on my way to Missouri, they are programmed to attack you and exterminate you. So be cool getting out of town. That time is coming. And they will know you just the same way that guy knew me and I knew him on a spiritual level. And the spirit inside of him is what programmed him to attack. Because that spirit knows me. And suddenly he was possessed. Biobot transceiver hijacked. And I will repeat it again, just for the people out there who want to say, well, maybe you should mind your own business. Maybe you shouldn't be snooping around looking on other people's property. He was kind and cordial and had no problem with anything I was doing until I told him I know the truth and I see through your lie. He had no problem with me filming his property or walking near his property until I told him I know the truth about the plazmafire that you're trying to hide with this lie that you're feeding me. And it was on. For someone to suddenly become so seething with animosity the way he did wasn't even just because I caught him in a lie. It's because of the particular lie that I caught him in and let him know I'm on the other side of this line and I can see the line of bullshit you're feeding me. This goes so much deeper than just calling someone a liar or trespassing. None of that entered into the equation. It was spiritual. That guy's possessed. Spiritual warfare is real. And I joined God's army. And when I walked up to that locksmith and let him know I joined God's army, he took me inside and said, let's go see if we can get you the parts you need. I got the parts I need. I really wish I would have gotten it all on tape. So you could have heard him just outside my passenger window as I pulled away, screaming, "Loser! Loser!" in order that you could see true evil. That's what I just saw in a way I've never seen it before. It is incomprehensible how someone would behave in that way over that situation. Only a very, very deep, complex psychological analysis could even come close to explaining that behavior. Or a very simple, straightforward spiritual analysis that guy is subject to forces that may or may not be beyond his comprehension. In other words, he may or may not know that he's spiritually possessed and working for the other side and going to be used as cannon fodder. It's those lukewarm that get spit out. They didn't really take a side. They didn't really choose. They just kind of sat on the sidelines. He might be one of those. So don't sit on the sidelines. Because like I've said, there's 10% on the side of the righteous, 10% on the side of the evil, and 80% in the mushy middle. And we're going to have to plow right through all 80% of them to get to the 10% of the wicked. And this battle is going to get real. Not philosophical, hypothetical, theoretical. Not an intellectual exercise or a debate. The rubber's going to hit the road. And if you don't know where you stand, you're going to be drafted. Whichever way the wind blows, if you don't join God's army, you'll be drafted into Satan's. Like I said, that guy might just be one of the sideline sitters. until he gets activated, hijacked, and deployed as a weapon. Safe. Oh, hold on, that didn't go. Made it to a lit area where there's cameras. That is seriously how freaked out I was. I don't get scared. And I'm not scared. I don't want to have to pop out his eyeball and disable him if he attacks me, but I'll do it. Seriously, pulling over a couple of exits down the road, I didn't feel comfortable there. That's how determined this guy was to take me out. That he would round up a posse or come up with a plan and start driving down the road looking for my truck because he came up with a plan after I left. That's how demonically possessed this guy was. I think I'm going to title this video and the two counterparts, Demonically Possessed Plazmafire Denier. How else can you explain that behavior? And that tells me that that's the alternative. Either you're on his side or you're on my side. And there ain't much gray area, if any. Because sitting in the gray area will end you up on his side. If you don't know where you stand, you're going to be swept away by the currents that are going to pull and push. But if you're not willing to join him, then you got to be willing to stand up against him. And that's why most people just sit it out in the middle. I'm at a loss for words. That guy going from cordial, happy, friendly, oh yeah, just burning some, bushes, and this time of year, you really don't want to do that this time of year, because it's dry and all. To, is that your truck over there? Staying out of trouble? He looked at me just like that when he said those things. From that point forward, he was out to get me. You can't explain that other than these two must have history. These two must have some sort of history that goes deep for this guy to suddenly be that filled with venom. These guys must have something else, some history between the two of them. On a spiritual level, personally, I don't know him, he don't know me, and you saw the entirety of the whole interaction between us. Other than the part where he's down there riding parallel with the road that I'm walking along before he met up with me at my truck, and you caught the last 30 seconds of that interaction. But then I ran out of memory space before I pulled away, and he's sitting here at my passenger window screaming, loser, loser, as I drive away. You think you're so big with that phone in that truck, why don't you get out here and come on and something else? When someone does that, in response to me filming the plasma fires, it is spiritual. There is no psychological explanation that can explain that away. So when I say this is a recruiting effort, and I've referred to it like the talent scouts from the NBA, going around seeing who's got the qualifications of character to contribute to our petri dish, who can contribute something to our culture that we could use. That's what this is. Join God's army, you'll be drafted into Satan's. That's the choice. And we're to that point that I said we would get to, where you can't develop a healthy, loving relationship with God right now. Closest thing you can probably come to is Stockholm Syndrome, where it's end of the road, and you have no place to go. So you fall in love with your captor as a last-ditch effort, because you have no other alternative options. That guy responding to me the way he did tells me we have entered into a new phase, and this is about to get real ugly. When people like that can respond in that way to me filming the plasma fire that is detrimental and to the future of humanity, and intentionally go about concealing it the way he was, and when someone like me uncovers the lie and tells him I see right through your bullshit, he suddenly turns on me. There is a coordinated effort to keep this under wraps. And there are people out there like him. Who knows what he was willing to do? He's probably pissed he let me get away with the video. He probably wishes he would have come up with something. The way he turned when he realized I know what I'm looking at, it's a whole nother level. I'm kind of just repeating myself here. I'm just going to bring this to an end. And if there's anything else I remember, I'll just make a note and include it in the next video.